So with the release of Star Fox Zero on the Wii U and Star Fox Guard that comes with it, if you get the physical version, is actually packaged with it. It's a completely like new box. You would think if it would be like Bayonetta, where Bayonetta 2 came out and they had like the plastic little slip inside the case and it was Bayonetta 1, but with this they actually it surprised me. I wasn't expecting it. They have a box that you get when you get it physical, and they have two separate cases for the game. So that's kind of funny. But I'm not going to talk about that right now. I'm going to talk about that at the end of the video about my feelings about both of the games and everything. But first, I want to go through the history of Star Fox and how I experienced it when they came out and everything. So yeah, it's an interesting series because it's a series that has a weird history, but it's interesting. And out of all of Nintendo's big franchises, Mario, Zelda, Metroid, even though like F Zero, they did a few things and they stopped. It's kind of like F Zero. Star Fox did a few games and they stopped. There's a big hiatus, and then like Metroid, they did a few. I think Metroid has the most games out of the low profile like series that Nintendo has, but all those franchises like F Zero, Metroid, Star Fox, they're on a hiatus, right? But anyways, the first game came out on the Super Nintendo, the original Star Fox. Now, this game blew our minds back in the day because they put in the FX chip just for this game to actually render 3D polygons and to go 3D on a Super Nintendo game, a system that does 2D only. This this FX chip enabled it to do 3D rendering and like now yes, when we first played it back then, it was amazing. It blew our minds, right? If you played it back in when did it come out? 1995. I forget exactly which year it came out. Um, but I just remember playing it as a kid. I was blown away. The music is the best like in the series. Like the original Star Fox has the best music. I mean, Star Fox 64 is decent music. It's got some decent tracks in it, but it doesn't have the crazy awesome like complete soundtrack that the original Star Fox has. But it had amazing music. It had the 3D going. For the time, it was incredible. Now, yes, we've come a long way, and when you go back to that on the original hardware, the frame rate is awful. It's like 5, 10, 15 frames per second or whatever. It's terrible. If you play it on emulator though, it fixes that. It's not as bad. You can act like I would say like if you're gonna play Star Fox the original, play it on emulator because it fixes the shoddy frame rate. But anyways, it was amazing. They had all these different alternate paths. You can do the black hole, the what do they call it? The black hole was one of the alternate paths where they called it like the space graveyard or something. It was like eerie and like it was like all dead ships and dead pilots and everything, and just was like flowing through the black hole and just like it was eerie. And they had like crazy stuff. Like they had all these awesome bosses. They had these awesome segments where you like go through the ship and like blow up like you go inside the ship and blow up the core, and then you go out and it just blows up, and just like all these cinematic moments is just amazing what they pulled off with the Super Nintendo for that game. It's crazy. But then they were making Star Fox 2, which we no one ever got. It never came out. It was a canceled game, but I have it. Ha ha ha. You're like asking me, how the hell do you have Star Fox 2 if it was never released? Well, it's a repro cart. And that's how you're going to get most games that weren't released, or get like a game that was released in another country and not in yours. Repro. English translations, whatever. The game was actually finished. It was like Earthbound. 2 words. Earthbound on the original NES, which we were supposed to get, but like they actually finished the game. It was complete. They just didn't produce it. So because it was the end of the life cycle, and they didn't want to put all that effort into an RPG because no one was, in the U.S. The RPGs didn't catch on yet. Basically, it was all about Japan, so they didn't release it. But then later on, they released Earthbound just recently on the Wii U Virtual Console, which is crazy to think all like 20 years later. But anyways, the same thing happened with Star Fox 2. They finished the game, it was complete, and they didn't produce it because they could have done it, which is weird because at the time the Super Nintendo weren't getting a lot of games, and Star Fox 64, which was the next one, wasn't going to come out for a while. The 64 wasn't out, so Star Fox 2, if they released it, would have filled the gap. It would have gave us Star Fox fans, another game and before Star Fox 64. And I'm surprised Miyamoto said he didn't want to do it because he wanted a clear cut from like the first game and then the big revolutionary like 60 to 3D game. They wanted a clean cut and clean slate, but it's like whatever, man. You should have just released it. But anyways, I have it, and I've heard recently that Miyamoto doesn't even care about Star Fox 2. He actually doesn't like it, I think, or something. I heard that like he doesn't like approve of it, which is weird because Star Fox 2 is amazing. It's fucking great. Which a game that was actually officially released, we'll get to later, Star Fox Command on the DS, borrows heavily a lot from Star Fox 2. But Star Fox 2 is amazing. You have the dog fights with it's the first time you actually meet Star Wolf and their gang is through Star Fox 2, not 64. But of course 64 because it's official. But it was amazing. It had an awesome soundtrack. It was a little bit of a step down from the first game, but not really. It still had amazing music. It was like, yeah, it was just a little bit of a step down, but not enough to be like, it's not that great. It was really good music still, and it had some really killer tracks in it. And it's like it was a tactical game. Like you could see like Star Fox Command, like you move your R-Wing like a tactics game, and like you move it on the planet, and like other ships would move at the same time, and you'd have to like strategize how you're gonna. And if you touch like a planet or you touch a ship, it would go into a battle mode. It was like, it's like it's interesting, it's different, and I liked that because it changed it up and it made it like awesome. It was a different way to have Star Fox, and it was really cool. And plus, you had some new fighters that you could play as. Like you could play as a, I forget, there was like a female like dog or something, or there was different characters that you will never see again that was never in the rest of the series, which is interesting. But anyways, that came out, but we never got it. And then we had to wait for the 64, and Star Fox 64, this beast of a game. My history with Star Fox 64, it's funny because I played NES for the longest time. I got my NES in 1993, played it for years. And I was late to the party because NES was died out in 93. It was around 92, right, where the Super Nintendo was being played in 93. I was late to the party on consoles in the beginning. But I played the hell out of NES. Then I got a Genesis, played the hell out of Genesis for a long time. Then I got a Super Nintendo, late to the party. I played the hell out of Super Nintendo. And I didn't get a 64 until, I forget. I think I actually got a PlayStation 1 before I got a 64. But I did play the 64 over people's houses and different people. And I played it, in the group home I was staying at. They had a 64. And we played Mario Kart 64 4-player and all this crazy shit. And GoldenEye and the multiplayer, all like the I had some of the best memories with Mario Kart 64, Block Fort, and GoldenEye 007. Just it's the memories with that it's legendary. But for some reason the group home did not have Star Fox 64, and I never played it. But it wasn't until I went over to someone's house, and this was actually this was the first time I played the 64. So I never played the 64 before. I never played any 3D gaming at all. At all. I never played. This is just picture me. This is coming off of me playing NES, Super NES, and Genesis like all my life, right? And all of a sudden someone took me to their house and they had a 64, and the only game that they had was Star Fox 64. And they're like, and she was like, go ahead, play it. Yeah, it's okay, you can play it. She turned it on, and it was like the most amazing. Like my mind was exploding like so many times. Like it was the first time I got to see the 64 in person. It was the first time that I held the controller with the Rumble Pack. And it was the first time I ever played a 3D game, like on like the 3D consoles. And I'm sitting there, and it's like Star Fox, and I'm like amazed at how it looks, amazed at everything. And of course, I sucked at it because it was the first time I played a 3D game like that. I mean, you can say the original Star Fox is 3D, which is true, but I'm talking about a 3D console. Like I had to wrap my head around certain things. Like it had the all range mode, and it had all these other things, and it was a completely new game. And I was like, I was sucking, but I started to do okay, and like every little accomplishment, even just being able to survive and like shoot down pilots and shoot down enemies and like get like progress through the game and like fighting Star Wolf the first time I fought Star Wolf, like it was an amazing experience. Like my mind was like, after I left her house and I had to go back home, it was late at night, we were in the car driving back, and I just couldn't stop thinking about Star Fox 64. I was just thinking about it all night. It was so good. So it was. I mean, Star Fox 64, as everybody knows, it's no surprise that it's everybody's favorite. Mostly, it's widely considered to be the best Star Fox game ever. Star Fox 64. And I don't blame it. I agree to a certain extent. Yeah, sure. Star Fox 64 is incredible. It's got some of the most. I mean, all the lines turned into memes. It has it has some of the best lines and most memorable lines in like gaming history. Do a barrel roll and like all this shit, and like all the lines that that you can come up with. Like it's incredible. So, but then like later down the road, Nintendo remake, fucking, I'm not gonna get into it, but they decided to do the 3DS remake of 64, which I probably said it before, I'm not sure on a video, but the game is I mean, it's Star Fox 64. um like the things that they changed though is like, the one thing I will say that is an improvement, kinda, is the graphics. They look really good like in certain things. Like I prefer 64. I just like the way it looks in 64, but like things like Zonus, where you can see the water and it's all like beautiful, the reflection off the water. That's what they did good in the graphics, is the water and the lava level, the shine off the lava. It looks really good. But the things that I don't like about this game is that they changed the voices. They redid all the voices. Why couldn't they just leave the 64 voices in? I mean, it's the 64 remake. You didn't change anything really with Ocarina of Time remake or Majora's Mask. You left all the original music. You left all the original sound effects. Why did you change the most memorable part? The most memorable parts of Star Fox 64 is the voices, and they changed it, and I'm not a fan of that. Also, you know how Andros in 64 sounds like really insane? He sounds like a weird like demon monster, and it sounded awesome and intimidating. Well, in this they changed it to some generic dude. Mohoho. That's how he sounds, and it's stupid, and I hate it. So, I mean, it's still Star Fox 64, but not quite. I mean, if this is your only way to play it, then play it. It's awesome, but coming off of Star Fox 64, being a fan of that, it's not that great in my opinion. I'd stick with the original 64 version. But anyways, where do we go from Star Fox 64? After they did that game, that was it. There was no more Star Fox. Like from Nintendo, from Miyamoto, that was it. And then all of a sudden, we got this game. We got Star Fox Adventures. Now, okay, this game isn't like coherently bad. Like the game, here's the thing. This game is not made by Nintendo. This is a Rare joint. This is one of the rare titles where Rare started to get a little funky. Like we all know Rare, they were amazing, but this was a little bit around the time where they started to not be good anymore. Here's the thing. This game is a Zelda clone, okay? Now this game was originally called Dinosaur Planet, right? And it was going to be for the 64, and Rare was doing their own thing. They had their own like furry character and their own thing, and you would visit dinosaurs. It was its own new IP, but then Miyamoto shoves his dick in there into the Rare employee's office. He's like, you know what? You got a furry, character. You know what you could do? You can change it to Star Fox and make it the Star Fox world and all this stuff. It's like, okay, well, and then they listened to him, and then they did that, which that was one of the biggest mistakes they could have made, because Dinosaur Planet as a new IP could have actually been good. It would have been a lot more respected because it was different. It's a new IP. But you take Dinosaur Planet and you scrap the 64 version, you do it on GameCube, and it's just a Star Fox skin. It's Dinosaur Planet with a Star Fox skin. I finished the game. I wanted to play it. I finally got to this game after all these years later. And the game has some memorable music. It's got some things that are kind of cool, but it just isn't. It's not that great, to be honest. It really, and some of the design choices are not that great. It feels a bit generic. It's just I can't recommend Star Fox Adventures unless you're a hardcore Star Fox fan that wants to play all the games and you would just want to see everything. Even if it might not be good and you just want to see everything, sure, play it. But that's the only way I could recommend it. I didn't really like it in the end. It's not that great. Now another game came out, and again it wasn't by Nintendo. Nintendo and Miyamoto kind of were done with Star Fox. They didn't want to do anything anymore with it. And then this game, which is also for the GameCube, I believe Namco co-developed it. Namco developed this game, Star Fox Assault. Now, people bitch about this game. I've heard it all. I've heard everything about it. Yeah, they hate the on-foot segments. It's weird and all this stuff and blah blah blah. I didn't mind it. Now, yes, it's not perfect by any means. It isn't perfect, but it's not as bad as people make it out to be. Once you get used to it, it's not too bad. I mean, the running is a little weird, but when you get used to the controls, it's not that bad. I mean, it's still a Star Fox game. You still have segments where you're flying around and you're dog fighting, and like you're going in all range mode, and there's on rail segments and all this stuff. But I didn't really hate it. People don't like this game because the only thing I've heard is the on foot segments is the reason why they don't like it. Which one of the coolest things in this game is the fact that there's a mission where you're on foot and you can get all these weapons and you're shooting things on foot and you're running and you can run in bases and blow up things and hide, like you have to take out things inside the bases, and then you can run out of the base on foot, jump in an R-Wing, and start flying in the same mission, and just go around and shooting things and go into things and like jump out of your R-Wing and go into different vehicles all in the same mission. That was pretty awesome and innovative for Star Fox. You have to hand it to him. I really liked that mission. I was like, I seen this mission I was playing. I'm like, this isn't that bad. I mean, people are hating on it for like God knows what, the on-foot segments. But once you get used to it, it's not that bad. It's not terrible as people make it out to be. Anyways, and now we're on to the DS game. Which this game right here was the last Star Fox game before what came out a few days ago, Star Fox Zero. This is Star Fox Command. Now, from some of the reviews I have heard about Star Fox Command for the DS, people really liked it. It had positive reviews, but there's the few that you'll hear that are just like, whatever. Actually, Star Fox Command is one of my favorite Star Fox games, believe it or not. It is one of my favorite Star Fox games. It's like Star Fox 2. It's like an evolution of Star Fox 2. It was, instead of just being a like flight shooter and like on rails, it's a tactical slash sky shooting game, right? It has tactics like Star Fox 2. You move your ship, your R-wing on the thing, and like it's like chess. You move it and you have to be tactical and all this stuff, and like if you touch enemies, you go into a battle, and if like missiles are flying to the Great Fox to blow it up, you have to fly tactically and touch the missiles and blow them up and all this stuff. I love that, and that's in Star Fox Command. It's brilliant. Like you go through the on the touch screen, you move the R wing, and like there's like red areas you can't see, and you can, in the beginning, you can scribble a little bit to see, and then you can like tactically choose how you're going to go about, grab a bomb, do this, and when you actually hit an enemy or hit an obstacle, it goes into a mission, an all range mode mission, where you go, it's a little bite-sized mission where you go and destroy the enemy. You go and destroy this person, or you take this out, or do whatever you have to do, the objective, and it's really fun. I really liked it. And what I love about the game is the fact that if you go into the options before you start the game, this is fucking brilliant. I wish this was in every Star Fox game. Um, you you can change your voice to the like digitize like Star Fox voices, like like the Star Fox sounds. Like you basically ask, like they ask you a bunch of questions, but you can do whatever and like just speak with your voice, and then it changes your voice into the Star Fox voice, and you can have that for the characters. That was pretty awesome. Right off the bat, I was in love once I saw that option. I was like, that's so freaking cool. So, and another reason why I love Command so much is emphasis on story, because in Star Fox there's not much story. There's not things that are fleshed out, you know. And in Star Fox Command, it has the most story in any Star Fox game. It has tons of different endings, tons of different story paths. I mean, some characters have children, and you see them like in like a story, like it shows the ending. Like Fox has like kids with Crystal, and it shows their children, and like the end slideshow, and like Slippy has a wife. He has a wife Toad. I think her name's Amanda, and there's like all these characters. Like it's so freaking cool. Like Andross's son, I think, it like meets with like Fox's son. And it has all these crazy like things like that you wouldn't think. Now I've heard some people say, "Oh, what's this fanfic story bullshit that Nintendo's doing?" I didn't really think of it like that. I just thought of it as more fleshing out the Star Fox universe, and it was pretty cool. I liked it. So I don't know if that's just me, but I thought it was really brilliant. But anyways, now we finally come to Star Fox Zero, which just released, and Star Fox Guard, which if you bought the physical version, you get both of these games. So I'm going to talk about Star Fox Guard first, because it's a small bite-sized little thing. There's Grippy. There's Slippy and his uncle Grippy. Look at that. Look at that mustache. Look at that mustache. Yes. So Star Fox Guard, I thought I wouldn't really care for it. It's just like whatever. I don't give a shit about it. But it's funny. Like I started playing it for the first time today. I did like 2 planets. It took me like 3 hours to do 2 planets. It's actually a lengthy game. I thought I wasn't gonna like it, and I actually think it's a fun distraction. It's actually pretty fun. Now, is it like, oh my god, this is amazing? No, but it's a fun distraction. If you got a little bit of time, bite-sized time to kill, do a couple missions. It's fun. Like some people say it's like Five Nights at Freddy's because of the camera switching, and like I see that it is kind of like that. And basically, you change your cameras, and you have to shoot, like, you see the enemies on each, like, different cameras, and then you have to switch to the camera with the touchpad, and you have to shoot the enemies, and there's different kinds of enemies that have different things, different properties, and there's unlockables. You get rank ups, and like the more you complete, the more medals you complete. You get like a slow mo camera, which will help. Like if the enemies get to your base, it's game over. But if you activate the slow mo camera, say for instance, I'm not gonna get into all the upgrades. Then like you say you make like one of the cameras closest to the core, like a slow mo camera, and then you switch to that, and if there are enemies near it and like you're about to lose, it slows down time so you can get that extra time to kill the enemy before they hit the main core of the base, and then it'll be game over. So there's stuff like that. There's actually depth to this like small little downloadable. It's a to me it's a down. It's funny. That's why I say like it's funny that it has its own box. You'd think it would just be a plastic slip in the zero case like Bayonetta 1. But it has its own fucking box. It's like, what? It has its own box. It's like crazy. But it's like a small like $10 downloadable like game that's like it's like an indie game, it feels like. It's a small little thing. But it's fun. It's fun. It kind of has a little bit of depth, and I was kind of surprised by it. I'll definitely play more of and unlock more stuff. It's really fun. Um, so yeah, that's how I feel about Star Fox Guard. You know, it's innocent fun, and I don't hate it. It's actually pretty fun. I like it. Now, what you've all been waiting to hear about is Star Fox Zero. Is it worth the hype? We've seen people complain about it. We've seen people say it's not good, blah blah. You know, this, and that, and everything. Before the game came out, people complained about the graphics look stale and all this stuff, whatever. And like, and then when the reviews hit like a few days ago, you know, like Game Informer, I'll say for example, like they shat on it. They gave it a 6.7. They gave this a 6.7. That's just slightly above mediocre, right? And what did they complain about? What's the reasons? They complained about the motion controls. Now, I was upset too when I first started the game. Like it shows, if you see, it shows if you see right there, it shows the Pro controller as one of the options. And I was like, oh, Nintendo will have options, right? They won't force motion controls. They'll have an option for people that don't want for motion controls. You use the Pro controller or something. And that's what I thought, but I was wrong. And that when I first started playing, I was upset. I was very upset about that. I was bummed. I was disappointed. I was a little angry. And then I was like, well, what's that in the back of the box? It shows the Pro controller. It's false advertisement, I thought. But then I found out later that the reason why the Pro controller is on there is because there's a co-op mode, and that's what it's used for. And you can like, you use the Pro controller to move the R-wing, and then the second player uses the gamepad to shoot. So that's what it's for. It's like, it's kind of annoying. But I first started playing the game. I just tried to go in it, not trying to be, you know, I've heard from some people that they hate the controls, and that's what everybody's complaining about. All reviews, all the people are saying they hate the controls. They suck. The motion controls ruin the game. And I just wanted to try the game myself. I wanted to see how I could play it. I want to see how bad it was. And the first few missions, I kind of see what they mean. I didn't understand it. It didn't click. I'm just like, yeah, this is kind of weird. I just want it to be standard Star Fox. And I understand where they're coming from. And there's a lot of things I struggled in. It was tough. There's some missions this game is actually kind of challenging, and it's actually kind of cool that it's challenging. It's not a cakewalk. But like I felt that most of that challenge was because the motion controls were it was cumbering my experience. I'm just like I'm not like and when the game decides to just like you're moving your R-wing around and it's like the camera's not moving. And it's just like you just see your R-wing moving around and the camera is just locked in place and it's like, well, what the hell? It's just weird and it's like then you have to like switch to like the gamepad and like use the thing. Like if a cutscene's happening, and then like that happens, there's a cutscene, you lose all control, and it's like, what the hell? So it was very frustrating at first. And like I went through the game. I there was it was still kind of fun. Like it wasn't terrible. I didn't hate it. Okay, a lot of people like out the gate hate it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was okay, and the controls were just. I wish the controls weren't like that. I just wish it was standard Star Fox. It wasn't forced motion controls. Now this is Platinum that made this game, and Platinum, they're an awesome company, and I'm just like, eh. And then I got through the game. I got to the end. I did the final thing and everything, and the final fight with Andross, which was very hard. It was one of the hardest Andross fights in Star Fox history. And I struggled with it. I died a few times. There's a few missions I died a few times on, and like that last fight was really hard. It was really fucking hard. Um, until like I didn't understand everything, and I started to learn a little bit, and then I finished the game, and that was yesterday, and I thought it was okay. I mean, I only beat it once. I didn't do the alternate paths. I didn't do all the stuff. I didn't know about this stuff yet, and I finished the game. I'm like, I don't hate it. I think it's okay, but is this what we've longed for? That's debatable. The motion controls kind of hurt the experience to me, and that's how I left it. That was yesterday, okay? After playing a bit of Star Fox Guard, I went back and played some missions, and guess what? It clicked. It clicked. Now, yes, I didn't talk about like you have the R-wing, you have the Landmaster, and the Landmaster actually transforms into a different ship, which is kind of neat. And then you have the Walker, which the R-wing transforms into the Walker at a certain point, and that's reference to Star Fox 2, the Walker. So that was cool. But like I said, today I started playing all over again, and it clicked. It clicked. I get it. I'm good at the game. I understand how it's meant to be played. Don't just like Gerard's Star Fox Zero review I just watched a few hours ago. Don't let the controls destroy your experience. Do not just play I hate the controls and just say I hate it. Don't do that, because when you practice and you get good at it and you understand how it works, it all clicks, and it's actually pretty awesome. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but when you get it, it becomes so much more enjoyable. On my second playthrough, I was loving every minute of the game. I was finding the alternate paths. The alternate paths are freaking cool. Some of the events are cool. It was really awesome, and I started to get good at the game, and it was like I think it's a fantastic game. I think it's a worthy game. But it might take a second playthrough. It might take some practicing to get used to it, but once you do, it's really really good. So that's what I've come away from it. And to tell people that are on the fence about it and like hearing everybody shit on it, you might get frustrated. Actually, you know what? You will get frustrated, especially if you've played Star Fox before and you're seasoned with it. You will get frustrated at this game's controls. It will piss you off. You might freak out and be like, get upset. You will die a few times. You will lose. It is a tough game, but stick with it. Stick with it. Trust me. Learn it. Get good at it. Once it all clicks and you're used to playing it, do a few levels a few times, and if you actually got through the game, do a few missions again and again. Once it clicks, it's a fantastic. Like, so basically, you shoot the stuff, and like when you can lock on to like things, you're like, oh, but it goes into that weird camera. No, actually lock on. You can, if you can manage two screens, like make sure you're turning, and then once you're locked on, go to your gamepad and you can shoot in first person. It's like, and it's like the cockpit fighting. It's really cool once you get the hang of it. At first, it's gonna be kind of awkward, but once you get the hang of it, man, I'm telling you, it's good. It's good. So, like, I don't want to spoil everything, but I will spoil one thing because it's just too awesome. I have to talk about this one thing because it's too awesome. There is an alternate path that you get where you play as Peppy. This is the only time you get to play as a different team member of Star Fox. You play as Peppy. You have to shoot like cannons and all these little gun turrets and on this big spaceship and everything, and you have a certain amount to kill. And every time that you barrel roll, he screams barrel roll, barrel roll, barrel roll, barrel roll, barrel roll. Every time you barrel roll, he screams barrel roll. It's fucking incredible. I'm just sitting there, just barrel roll, do a barrel roll, do a barrel roll. It's freaking amazing, and that alone makes it worth it. And let me tell you, when I finished the game, I beat it, and you see the end credits. It's like Star Fox 64, and then at the very end, at the sunset, I choked up a little bit because it said on the screen, across the screen, it said, "This is dedicated to one of our wingmen who fell in battle." That got me a little choked up. Iwata. That was a really nice touch, Nintendo. That was a really nice touch. I have to say that was a great touch. Um, it's a great game. Go fucking buy this game. You'll get frustrated, but I just trust me. Stick with it. Please stick with it. It's an amazing experience once you get the hang of it. So I'm gonna play more because it was fun. Also before I go, not to mention the amiibo. If you have the amiibo, there's Fox and there's Falco. Now, if you beat, like, you have to unlock, you have to complete all the things. There's so much to complete. I'm not gonna complete everything in this game, but there's like so much fucking things to complete. You have to get all the medallions, all this shit. I don't want to do that, but I've never been a completionist in Star Fox. Like, even Star Fox 64, I didn't get all the golden medals for every level. I like to just play through it and have fun. But anyways, yeah, if you complete everything 100% in this game, you unlock the two things that these things unlock when you touch amiibos. Now, I'd rather just use these because it's just, yeah, I'm not gonna unlock that. So, I mean, I probably would have if I didn't have the amiibos just to get what I'm about to tell you get. So, if you tap the Fox amiibo on the screen before you go into a mission, it turns the R-Wings into the Super Nintendo R-Wings, the weird, like, early 3D rendering R-Wings. It's fucking cool. And it has, like, all the effects, the shot effects, like when you charge shot, it does the bomb effect from 64, and like it has all this cool shit. And if you play on the very first Corneria level, it does the Super Nintendo music, which is a great throwback. Now, if you use the Falco amiibo, you get a black and red R-Wing. And I was like, oh, this looks cool, but I noticed I was dying, like, instantly. Basically, the black R-Wing, you take not double, you take 3 times the damage that you normally take, but you're allowed to target up to 2 things to charge shot. Because normally you can't charge shot. You can only charge shot one thing unless you get the dual lasers. That's another thing I'd say. I'm not sure if it's like this in this game for Star Fox Zero, but that's one thing I'm not a big fan of, is the fact that when you know how in like Star Fox like 64, if you get like your laser, like you get the dual lasers and you get the dual blue lasers, if you beat the level, it carries over. You keep it forever until you like lose a wing or whatever happens. And you can keep it forever. But in Star Fox Zero, you can only keep it in a stage. So like you get the dual lasers and the twin blue lasers. Once you beat the stage, you're reset to one laser again. That's one thing I'm not a fan of. That you don't it doesn't carry over from stage to stage, but whatever. I got used to it. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, once you get used to everything, but if they would have changed that, if it was like, it carried over, then I would really love it more. But like I said, I already talked about it. Go get this game. Practice it. Don't get frustrated. You might get frustrated at first, but stick with it and just try to learn it. And once it clicks, you will appreciate this game. Everybody that like reviewers like Game Informer and like other people that are shitting on this game because of the controls, they never even tried to even try to learn it. They didn't even. They thought, oh, this is awkward. They gave it a little bit. Even if they beat the game, they were just like, nah. But they didn't really focus on trying to figure it out. But once you do, and it clicks, and you're in there, and it's actually a brilliant game. It's actually pretty good. Is it the best game ever made? No, but it's not what they're making it like. A Game Informer gave it a 6.7. Fucking really? That's like a broken game, or that's like a game that's like a mediocre game. This is not mediocre. It fucking isn't. It's really good. I mean, some people like I kind of still. I'm not the biggest fan of the gyro wing. They have the new thing where you use the iDroid that says like Rob the robot. You just use that and like you can activate switches and like open up, barriers and all this stuff, and like that ship I'm not really crazy about, but it's not that big of a deal. I think they only used it in one level or something. It's not that big of a deal. But other than the things I had a problem with, it's not. Once you get used to everything, it's great. So go buy it, give it a try. Don't give up on it, and it's an awesome experience. Star Fox is still going. Now, will they make another one? I don't know. But if this was the last game that they made, it's a pretty good note to go out on. So, yeah, and the fact that they dedicated it to Iwata is, like I said, it's really heartfelt. So, that's all I have to say. That's my history and my feelings on Star Fox Zero and Guard. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed. All right, take it easy.
No way! I don't believe it!